Okay, folks, so here we are again in the garage. Welcome to another edition of Garage Talk Plaza. So, I'll show you later. This Honda generator is a bear to pull. I can't pull it anymore, so I'm gonna put electric starter in it. But that's not what I came to tell you about. So, me and Claude were talking about our fathers yesterday. So, everybody thinks that they can top my all-time father story. Nobody can top Phil Johnson father stories. Believe me, nobody. He would have me cut his hedges and everything, and he had this, you know how these fathers in those days, they had these prized possessions that nobody else gave a shit about? Well, his was this 100-foot extension cord. And I would cut the hedge, and he'd constantly tell me, son, please don't cut the wire. Please don't cut. I'm like, I'm not going to cut the wire. So he's out there one day, and he's going to do it. It's a boiling hot summer day. And he would cut, he just dragged everything out. Everything had to take all freaking day to do. And I would do it in like, I don't know, 45 minutes. So he's out there, and I hear, brrrr, brrrr, brrrr. I'm like, I knew what he did. He cut the wire in half. So he comes in the garage. I'm doing something, and he's got this wire in his hand, and he would get that sheepish look. So all right, we taped it up, and out he goes again. And 20 minutes later, some brrrr, brrrr, brrrr. He cut it twice in one day. So that's the first of the lawn stories. The second of the lawn stories is I would come down every Friday night after the office plant shop school or store would close, and I would do all the yard work like from 5:30 to 7:30. Took him all day Saturday to do it because he had to drag it out. So I would cut the hedges, trim all the shrubs, do the edging, and I'd cut the grass and put all the clippings in the grass catcher bag. Because he would never do that. It's a hell of a lot easier. So his job was to gas the mower, keep up on the oil and everything. So I go down there one day, and the mower would always be out on the driveway every Friday night because he'd come home from work and he put it out in the driveway, be ready to go. So I get down there and I do everything. I start the mower up, it's running fine. So I'm in the front yard. I cut like 2 paths, and the mower starts running slower and slower. I'm like, this grass isn't that high, right? I'm like, why is this mower running so slow? So the mower just stops. So I'm like, oh, he probably didn't fill it up with gas. So I look, and there's plenty of gas in it. So I didn't realize at the time that he is watching this whole thing with just a towel around him because he just got out of the shower from the bedroom window. So it was one of those top pulls. So I go to pull this thing, just about yank my arm out of the socket. So I'm like, holy shit, this thing's locked up. So I go and get a quart of oil, and like I said, I didn't know he's watching the whole thing. So I start putting the oil in, and it's taken like almost the whole quart. And when I'm pulling, I guess I got about a half of the quart in, I hear from the bedroom, holy shit! He comes out in the front yard with just a towel around him. What happened? I go, you didn't have any oil in it. So he goes, you think it'll be all right? And you know, you always want to make it like, yeah, it's fine, right? So I pull it a couple times, and it unlocked and everything. Put a little bit more oil in it. Pulled it a few more times, got it to unlock. But I started it up. It smoked like a mother. Never ran the same. Do we ever talk about that? No, of course not. His famous 5 words to me were, son, we don't need that. So, okay. So he wants to buy a new car. So he's finally going to trade in this 64 Nova that he had. And this is probably like 1990 or something. Not really, but this thing had seen better days. I mean, there was no floor in the front on the driver's side. And he asked him about it. He goes, "Oh, that's how I can tell if it's raining. Don't look out the windshield. Look through no floor." So he goes out and he was looking at a van and he decided not to get the van. And the kitty's out there. I might have to let her in a minute. Okay, kitty, I'll let you in a minute. So he decides he's going to buy a Volkswagen Rabbit diesel because, gas was a lot of money in those days. Not compared to now, but those days it was. So he goes out and buys the diesel because it got 50 miles to the gallon and everything, blah, 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 da, 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 da. So it dies the first time the alternator gives up. That's when I start hearing. And it was all under warranty, but it was a Bosch alternator, so go figure, right? So, son, I should have bought the van. I'm like, yeah, okay. Anyway, gets that fixed. Everything's hunky-dory and everything. La da da da. So the first winter, he has this diesel car, right? So I tell him, Dad, glow it, come in, eat your breakfast, and let it idle out there because it would bleed back. The nozzle bleed back from the heated engine, the heated diesel fuel bleed back into the tank. But did he ever do that? No, of course not. So I'm at work, I get a call. Son, I'm stuck on Harristown Road. What happened? I don't know, the car died. Well, it gelled. It gelled in the fuel filter because he didn't let it idle because he just had his breakfast, went out, started, drove down Harristown Road. The wind's blowing by it, 20 degrees, the fuel gels. So I'm like, I knew it gelled. So I went to Volkswagen right down the street, got another filter, put it in, off he goes, right? So I'm like, okay, I have to address this problem because he's obviously not going to do what I tell him to do. So I go to work and we had a contract with this company, Diesel-Ease, who made fuel heaters. So you put the fuel heater in, I think, right before the heater core, if I remember right. And it was just hot water would go around the fuel, and then the first batch would go into the fuel filter so it would never gel. So I did that, I put a block heater in, and then I put a battery charger on the hump by the shifter lever. So all wired together, all you had to do is plug in one thing. You were getting the fuel heated, the block heated, and the battery charged. Did he ever plug it in? No. So, again, he dies somewhere, Harristown Road, I guess, again. So I'm like, Dad, you have to plug this in. And he would just go in, like this. So I get down here a couple weeks later, the temperature go up and down. So for a while he'd be fine.